Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to day 3 of the 14th Leadership Skills Development Summit 2021. If you're only tuning in today, then I must be honest with you, you have missed out on quite a fruitful and amazing program. However, we haven't lost you or left you in the desert. You can get a hold of the past 2 days on our YouTube channel, or you can even contact Cape Media to check what has been happening for the past 2 days. As we conclude this day, we'll be talking about population increase. What are the skills that the youth need, particularly for the future in the agricultural sector, also in the mining sector, and so forth. But I don't want to take up much of your time. But one thing that we can deduct from yesterday's session is that we need to learn not to share our doubts, but share our decisions. Furthermore, we need to learn not to share our problems, but really actively share our solutions. And this is what we gained from yesterday's amazing panel discussions that took us into the rest of the day. I won't waste any more time because we'll be load shedded in the afternoon. So we've got a tight program to make sure that we flow into the day and we get everything done. Please don't forget to hashtag Skills Summit at 2021. Visit all our social media platforms under Skills Development Summit 2021. And don't forget to check out our virtual exhibition so that you can interact and engage with some of our sponsors and the companies that are there. Without further ado and wasting any further time, I wish to welcome our keynote address that will kickstart today's program. She goes by the name of Mrs. Sharon van den Heever, who's the National Chairman at Association for Skills Development in South Africa. And she will be providing us a keynote address so that we can enter right into our panel discussion shortly after this. Over to you, Sharon, and welcome.
Morning. How are you all?
Very well, thank you. And I'm sure our guests that are tuned in should be good too.
Great. Can I just go straight into our presentation? Welcome to all the participants and viewers. I'm going to just start the presentation off. Can I share our screen?
Yes, please. Yes, please, you may. Hi, Sharon, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, we haven't, looks like we couldn't hear you, but you can continue with the presentation. Are you sorted?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Please go ahead.
It is playing.
Okay, okay. Yes,
Can
it
you
is.
hear?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay.
Sorry, Sharon, to interrupt. I just want to find out, is the presentation audio?
Yes.
Oh, we can't hear it.
Okay.
Yes, that's why
Okay.
we can't hear the presentation.
Do
So
you want?
maybe you can talk us through it. Talk us through it.
All right. Let me take you through it. No problem.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to stop and just start from the beginning. If you
Okay.
don't mind, because I need to go to the presentation without the audio.
No, with absolute pleasure. That's fine.
Okay. Okay. Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to check, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Okay,
Sharon.
great. So welcome to the Skills Development Summit for 2021. I'm just going to go through my presentation. I know we've got some technical glitches. I had done a recording over it, but we can share the recorded version with you at a later stage. So just basically, sorry guys, it's recording in the background. Can you give me just 2 seconds?
No problem, Sharon. No, that's fine. It's the perfect opportunity for our delegates and participants to grab their cup of coffee because we had an early morning start. So
Yeah, just give me 2 minutes. I just need to remove the recordings because it's playing in the background while I'm talking now.
oh no, that's fine, Sharon. No problem. Sure.
Great. So welcome to the ASDSA's presentation for this year's Skills Development Summit of 2021. And basically, let's just take you through what the ASDSA is all about and where we land from a skills development perspective. So just introducing ourselves. So I feel that this caption is very important. The capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill, and the willingness to learn is a choice. So I think that is very, very apt in the skills development landscape. So let's talk a little bit about the relevant legislation and role players. The relevant legislation and role players are the Skills Development Act, Skills Development Levies Act, the SAQA Act, Companies Act, Employment Equities Act, and the National Qualifications Act. And the various role players, as you can see on the right-hand side, is SAQA, the CETAs, the QCTO, the Department of Labor, and SARS, just to name a few. The National Qualifications Framework is underpinned by an act, and there are 10 level descriptors or 10 levels on this National Qualifications Framework. And we deal with those 10 level descriptors when we are speaking about skills development. The objective of this National Qualifications Framework is that we've got an integrated national framework, that it is accessible, mobile, and progressive, that it ensures quality, and also addresses the redress of the past. So let's have a look at what this framework looks like. So very basically, if you have a look, on the bottom left-hand corner, it's the General and Further Education and Training Qualifications Sub-Framework, which is that navy blue section. It deals with the first 4 level descriptors, and it basically speaks directly back to your schooling education, ending with your national certificate. Then above that is your post-school education and training, which is your higher education, and that speaks directly back to your higher education qualifications sub-framework, and that's the orange section, which is the level descriptors from 5 until 10. And then on the right-hand side is your occupational qualifications sub-framework, and that is your occupational certificates for your trades and occupations. So this just gives you a nice picture of what the National Qualifications Framework looks like. There has been a review of this, this National Qualifications Framework. They have changed some of the level descriptors on the occupational qualifications sub-framework side. So SAQA, the South African Qualifications Authority, this is an official body that was appointed by the Ministers of Education and Labour, and they basically oversee the National Qualifications Framework in South Africa and ensure that there's further development and implementation of this National Qualifications Framework. They coordinate those three sub-frameworks, the general education and training, the further education and training, and the higher education and training. And they also ensure that they advance all of these objectives of the National Qualifications Framework. So let's have a look at the three sub-frameworks. So the General and Further Education and Training Qualifications Sub-Framework is managed or overseen by Umalusi, which is your schooling sector. Then your higher education is overseen by the Council for Higher Education, and the Occupational Qualifications Sub-Framework is overseen by the Quality Council for Trades and Occupations, or the QCTO. So let's have a look as well. Under those sub-frameworks, you get private colleges, you get public colleges, you get universities, private and public, and you also get private training providers. So various different types of training providers and education institutions. Then under all of those sub-frameworks, in amongst all of those sub-frameworks are the sectoral education and training authorities, what we call SETAs. So those SETAs are there to have a look at the sector skills plans. They look at the trends in each of the sectors, and those sectors are the actual manufacturing and industry sectors that we are referring back to, and we'll go through the various different SETAs that we report into. We look at the skills that are in high demand, we look at the critical skills, we look at where the skills development are, and we also, the SETAs also accredit training providers and provide quality assurance for those training providers. So let's have a look at the various SETAs. There are 21 SETAs currently in South Africa. And as you can see, those SETAs speak back to various different sectors within industry. So it is the agricultural, banking, construction, chemical industries, and each of those SETAs will speak directly back to the various sectors. And the training that takes place in each of those sectors, the SETAs oversee those training providers within those various sectors. These are the balance of the SETAs. So as you can see, there are the 21 different SETAs, and they do cover the entire spectrum of SETAs in industry. This just gives you an idea of all the different logos of the SETAs that we deal with when we are submitting our annual workplace skills plans and annual training reports. So let's talk about one other aspect of skills development and the Quality Council for Trades and Occupations. So what is the Quality Council for Trades and Occupations? It is a council that was established in 2010 in terms of the Skills Development Act, and its role is to oversee, design, implement, assess, and certify the educational qualifications that fall within that sub-framework. So those trade qualifications, things like welders, boilermakers, and various other trades that fall within the trades categories from 1 to 8. That is what the QCTO ensures that they are designing, developing, and implementing. They also don't quality assure the actual training providers, but they do accredit the training providers as well. So the QCTO's partners that are involved here are the SETAs, the professional bodies, and quality assurance partners, people like SAICA and HPCSA, SABPP, the accredited training providers, SAQA, and then, of course, the ASDSA with their SDFs. The Quality Council for Trades and Occupations oversee those new occupational qualifications. And just to break it down into a little bit further explanation, SAQA, which is the South African Qualifications Authority, hold the legacy qualifications, which are the qualifications that are currently being trained. Those qualifications are being converted. Some of them are being converted into occupational qualifications. And as those conversions happen, they are moving from legacy qualifications over into occupational qualifications. And that is where they are moving from. They're still registered on SAQA, but the QCTO is developing those new occupational qualifications. And the dynamic of those qualifications are changing from a predominantly theoretically based qualification under the legacy qualifications at SAQA to a more practically based qualification under the QCTO's occupational qualifications. So let's talk a little bit about who we are from an ASDSA perspective. So the ASDSA was established in 2001. We're a registered SAQA professional body, and we have 3 professional designations for our skills development practitioners, namely the skills development technician, practitioner, and master. So we are recognized and respected in the profession, the skills development profession. We also upskill various different skills development facilitators that are not professionally designated. We run various different skills programs, and we also ensure that we are looking at best practices in the industry. We look at continued professional development. We're looking at models of recognition of prior learning, and we run many workshops in the industry to upskill and ensure that we are developing our professionals in the industry. So our starting point. Initially, our starting point was to look at the transformation in South Africa, recognize the transformation and skills development that are critical in South Africa. And these were the driving forces in providing that starting point for us. And they also guide our efforts and energies to ensure that we are achieving the goals that we need to achieve from an ASDSA perspective. So the practitioners that we represent, they are a diverse group of people. So the skills development practitioner is not just a skills development practitioner that submits a workplace skills plan or an annual training report. They influence a much wider group. So they can be learning and development managers, HR managers, facilitators, assessors, moderators, organizational role players, business owners, decision makers, business entities. So there are a number of different role players that are integral in the skills development landscape and that deal with the skills development practitioners. So what is a SDP or an SDF? So a skills development professional or a skills development facilitator is somebody that coordinates the interventions, the training interventions, the learning development programs, and reports back on these for companies and organizations through the SETA's annual workplace skills plans and annual training reports that they submit. They apply for mandatory grants that the employers pay through their skills development levies on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, and they can also apply for discretionary grants. So some of the other programs that can be applied for that skills development facilitators and practitioners are sometimes involved with are learnerships, short skills programs, bursary programs, apprenticeship programs, and these programs are aligned for employed learners, unemployed learners, and the upskilling of the workforce in general. A lot of these programs are funded through employers, but a lot of them are also funded through the SETAs and through the various different programs that are applied for, like the learnership programs and short skills programs that skills development levies pay for. So what do we focus on? We focus on influencing the systemic improvement and the skills development landscape as a whole, enhancing professional expertise and upskilling of people within the industry, and developing an understanding of these long-term trends. How can we improve ourselves on a constant basis? Our core values are that we believe that everyone has the right to quality education, training and development, And this is definitely the answer to South Africa's economic freedom. We believe that there are endless opportunities and a right and a wrong way to do this. We believe in ethical behavior and quality skills development and quality training. We think that quality training is very important, ensuring that you are training from an accredited training provider perspective, that we are ensuring that the programs that are delivered are quality programs as well, and that the learner at the end of the day is the person that we are taking care of. We need to set the industry standards. We believe in everything that we do, and we always try to challenge the status quo. We are the voice of the SDF. So just going into our designations that we have, to mention those 3 designations that are registered on the SAQA, it's 493 for the technician, 494 for the practitioner, and 770 for the master. Please feel free to go and navigate the SAQA website to go and have a look at those professional designations. And should you be interested in getting a professional designation, you would be signing up with ASDSA as a member, and there are some assessment criteria that you would need to meet, and underlying qualifications and various experience in the industry that you would need to meet for each of those designation titles or professional designations that you would like to get. And again, just looking at how we can influence systemic improvement, making sure that we also provide guidance from a skills development practitioner perspective. We like to achieve excellence. We are always looking at how we can influence systemic improvement, engaging with regulatory and legislative frameworks. And we also look at the post-school education and training system. We're continually enhancing professional expertise. So the way that we do that is by initial professional development, and that is registering as a skills development practitioner with a professional designation. But enhancing this is also what we call continued professional development. And I know in the industry, a lot of people are referring to CPD points. So professional bodies refer to CPD points on a regular basis. And this CPD points is all about your own professional development, continually staying current, relevant, and continually developing yourself to ensure that you are achieving excellence and that you are growing your career path. And that's how we always ensure that we are moving towards our goals within our career paths. So developing an understanding of long-term trends. How we do this is that we ensure that we are researching various trends from a national and international perspective. We have technical committees and certification committees that do engaging in the field and provide us with guidance and advice. We also collaborate with other professional bodies on best practices in the industry, on recognition of prior learning, and on CPD and how they deliver their CPD programs to ensure that we are enhancing the CPD programs that we deliver from an ASDSA perspective. We often involve ourselves on position papers and respond to legislation and calls for comment, where the DHET or the Department of Labour are asking us for calls for comment on various issues in the industry. So why do I need an ASDSA professional designation? I think the most important thing to understand is that a professional designation demonstrates competence. It demonstrates that you are serious about your profession, that it gives credibility to your profession, that it ensures that you are continually improving as a skills development practitioner, and that you are serious about your career growth, that you want to keep in good standing with national best practices and trends and continue that upward trajectory. So this is just what is involved in the continued professional development. It is competence, it's showing expertise, it's showing that you are continually engaging in the current practice of what you are doing. It shows your skill and that you are in that occupation and that you have a career path and that you're constantly training and improving and developing yourself, that you remain motivated and working towards specific goals. The benefits of CPD, again, keeping your competencies current, showing the evidence that the practitioner, the skills development practitioner, has a commitment to their own development, shows evidence to our organization that there is that commitment to professionalism, and the practitioner is able to monitor, very importantly, monitor your progress and development based on the plan that you set out for yourself and the goals that you set for yourself to achieve over the plan that you had intended for yourself. So in short, what we are here to do is raise the bar in quality skills development. It's definitely in our hands. Many hands are better than one, and we like to work as an industry whole to ensure that we can raise the bar in skills development. The secret in education lies in respecting the student. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate giving me this time to deliver some information about our sector and about our professional body. And I'd like to open the floor now to give opportunity for any questions or clarity or anything that you'd like to ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Definitely the questions will be posted on our online platform, and should there be any specificity in that regard, we'll make sure that it's forwarded to you. But we do want to thank you so much for your contribution, and we appreciate the Association of Skills Development in South Africa for being one of our sponsors for this event and making sure
that
we discuss skills and we implement them. So thank you.
Yes.
For telling us about the compliance that we need to adhere to as colleges, as practitioners, and so forth. And we will be in touch. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you very much.
Sure then. Well then, ladies and gentlemen, that was Ms. Sharon van den Heever, who was the National Chairman of the Association for Skills Development in South Africa. We are now going to engage in the panel discussion shortly after this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are tuned into the 14th Leadership Skills Development Summit. Thank you so much for joining us on the final day. As I promised, it's going to be jam-packed with amazing content for different industries. We're about to embark on a panel discussion, and our theme is as follows. As populations increase, it is important that youth of today and tomorrow own the skills they need to build a competitive and resilient agricultural sector. So we are talking agricultural sector, food security, food sovereignty. How do we ensure that there's an equilibrium between food productivity and consumption as well? And I look forward to engaging in this discussion because this is one of the most lucrative industries in the world, in the country, in the continent, and it has the highest GDP contribution. Okay, with us, we have joined, and some of our panelists will be tuned in. We have Precious Greehy, who's the Regional Gender Inclusivity and Youth Advisor at Solidaridad Network. She will be joining us soon. We have Nontekozo. Nontekozo. I hope I said it properly, but it looks like it's spelled differently. So I'll go with Nontekozo Ngcobo, who's the manager at Midlands Entrepreneurship Center. We also have Dr. Michael Charles, who's the head of Southern Africa Cluster, IFRC, Southern Africa. We have Wandile Sihlobo, who's the chief economist at Agricultural Business Chamber of South Africa, which is known as AgriBiz. We also have Wynand Esbach, who's the Chief Operating Officer at Agri Colleges International. So since we have Wynand and Ngcobo here, I think Wynand will start with you. and we can kickstart our panel discussion. Welcome to both of you.
Morning, Tabang. Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. So Venan, perhaps can you just introduce yourself and also your organization, as well as one or two sentiments about the agricultural sector, particularly where youth participation is concerned.
Yeah, well, thanks, Tabang. So, like Tabang said, I'm Venan Desbach. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at AgriColleges International. We are essentially an online educational institution operating in the agricultural field. And for those of you that have come across us previously, we have been going since 2016 when the company was established. And our main drive is to make agriculture cool. And we have been quite successful in what traditionally everyone said to us, there's no way that you can teach agriculture in an online environment. I think if COVID, the pandemic taught us one thing, is that you can do anything in the online environment. We've been doing it since early 2018, where we're presenting very practical elements in an online environment in a blended model, and very successfully so, with over 1,000 students at the moment, students and alumni from 30 different countries across the world. And what's nice about it is the reach that we've had into rural areas, where people just literally need a mobile device and access to a connection, an internet connection, and they can download and they can study. So we've brought the opportunity to the youth, and we are firm believers that by educating the youth of tomorrow, but also the people already in the industry, we can have huge impact on becoming self-sustainable in communities and having a great reach into what traditionally is seen as rural areas where we want to have that impact.
Thank you so much, Avena. We look forward to engaging further on some of the points that you have mentioned. Ngcobo, Nontekozo?
Yes, Tabang, hi. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Yes, thank you so much, colleagues. And my name is Nontekozo from the Durban University of Technology Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, based in the Midlands campus. Just to give a short brief on what we do as the center, we offer both the theoretical and practical, technical, entrepreneurial support, learning, and other activities, including exchange programs, to our students and alumni, and also local communities. And amongst other activities of the center is the creation of the Agri Hub, which has been identified as one of the core programs already in order to drive the economic growth within our communities and also in the province. The establishment of this hub, of the Agri Hub, came in when, provide the service to the students, the entrepreneurship support, the mentorship. But we realize that when it comes to particularly to the Agri Hub space, the students are passionate about agri, but the technical know-how of the agri sector, it's not there, in as much as our students are exposed, because the majority of our students, especially in the province of KwaZulu-Natal or in South Africa, are somehow exposed to the agri the way our parents are doing it. But turning that exposure into business is the one that's been lacking. So now we realize that we're offering this business support, the mentorship, and everything, even mobilizing funding and facilitating markets on behalf of the student. We realize that if we don't balance a polishing of the skill and the management of the business itself, that business won't be sustainable. And so now we introduce this wing, which is the Agri Hub wing, amongst other practical learning spaces, like we have the Tech Hub being established as well, especially in this area or in this campus where we located right in the heart of the community of Edendale, Imbali, and the Midlands area. So the establishment of the hub came in right about because of the need, and also the knowledge creation, the knowledge transfer in the agri sector being limited to these young people. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ntokozo. Thank you. Precious, shall we go to you? Please introduce yourself, your organization, and your sentiments regarding the current theme that we're discussing. Hi, Precious. Precious, I'm not sure if you're on mute. Hi, Precious, can you hear me? Okay, whilst we wait for Precious, maybe can we go to Dr. Charles?
Yes, good morning. Good morning. Thank you very much for having me on this. I'm really, really excited in terms of the conversation. So my name is Michael Charles. I am the head of the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. It's a membership organization, and we are 192 members globally. That means in 192 countries, there is the Red Cross, Red Crescent movement. So here in South Africa, we have the South Africa Red Cross. My portfolio covers 10 countries in Southern Africa. And really excited to be part of this dialogue in terms of how we operate when it comes to agriculture and the youth. I think for me, it is really pertinent as we're able to bridge the gap. And we see a lot nowadays that our youth are not willing to go into agriculture. So from our perspective, we're seeing how we can make agriculture more attractive to the youth. Really starting at the grassroots level and making sure that we see the benefits of it. Currently I'm actually in Richards Bay in KwaZulu-Natal, where we have funded a project, and we'll be going in a couple of hours to the field, where we have been able to support some backyard gardening, support families when it comes to agriculture and livelihoods, and really excited in terms of taking the conversation forward. Obviously, there's a lot of innovation that we need to link into this in terms of youth, agriculture, livelihoods, innovation, the digital divide, and really looking forward to bringing examples of what we are doing into the discussion. So I think I'll stop here, Taban, and hand back to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Charles. Thank you. That is well noted. I think I'm going to try to go back to Precious. Precious, are you with us? I know you are here, but just unmute yourself and let's see if you're audible. Okay. I think there's still a technical challenge there with Precious. So what I would advise then, Precious, is that just log off and try log back in with the same link. Okay, thank you so much to our panel for joining us. I think perhaps let me start with Vaynand, just on asking about some of the aspects of agriculture, which Dr. Charles has briefly touched on. How is your institution or your college incorporating more young people into the agricultural sector? I mean, never mind with the fact that we want to make it fashionable and we want them to participate, but is there an appetite? So just take me through some of your initiatives on how the institution has incorporated more youth into agriculture.
Thanks, Tabang. I relate completely to what Dr. Charles said, and I think the key here is that very quickly our youth have developed into this, almost going to call it an army. They've developed into an army of people that know what they want. They are very sure about themselves. They're very sure about their futures. And one of the things that they take a lot of pride in is their ability to look after themselves. It's a great aspect that has developed out of this generation of people that we all like to refer to as Generation X and Generation Y and ABC and whatever we want to call them, but they are actually the generation restoration. We often refer to them as generation restoration. They're taking matters and they're running with it, and they growing their own food to a very large extent. And it's unbelievable the inquiries we're getting from schools to come and address their grade 10s, 11s, 12s on the future of agriculture and how they can get involved in agriculture. What we have seen is that the whole land aspect can be kept out of it. We don't need to go there. That we will leave to whoever needs to deal with that. But the youth out there are so interested in growing their own food and being successful at that and looking after their communities and standing out in their communities. One of the projects that we're involved in is specifically looking at sort of impact funding from Europe and bringing it into community development in agriculture. And through this, we spent the last 6 months identifying projects across Africa, not just South Africa, but across Africa. And the people we get to meet is so diverse. And the most amazing part is that they vary from between 19 years of age and 35 years of age. And they're running these very successful community projects, growing food, growing vegetables. We were in Thohoyandou Venda area the other day, and unbelievable impact of agriculture there is mind-blowing. You drive through those rural towns, and instead of having lawns and things outside their houses, they all have vegetable gardens. They're huge patches of vegetable gardens with fruit trees everywhere. That's the impact that agriculture can have in a community. The youth itself, I think we are blessed to have this opportunity for them to take matters into their own hands. And what better way to do it than with a link to technology? Believe me, there's this talk about bridging the digital gap. You will be surprised when you get into the arena that we function in. The ability of our youth to function on technology is unbelievable. The connectivity, yes, data is expensive, but most of the people get around that by utilizing Wi-Fi hotspots. Government has gone a long way to bringing Wi-Fi hotspots to municipalities, to libraries, to a lot of the restaurant groups have Wi-Fi at their facilities. So through these things, we're really having an impact in agriculture with our youth. And I think that's what makes it so exciting for all of us, is that we can really get involved and take agriculture and food security to the next level by educating the people.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Nontekozo, may I ask you to come in there just on, as an entrepreneurship center in the region of KZN, where we know there's a lot of arable land and greenery and so forth. South Africa is richly blessed with that. What are the challenges that the youth have encountered, just in your experience with working with young people at the center?
Thank you so much, Tabang. And I was just acknowledging what Wayne was saying, and also Dr. Charles, on the youth not being interested in the agri. So one of the biggest challenges the youth is seeing, in as much as the youth has the exposure in agriculture, but they look at it as this hard work, old-fashioned kind of a thing. And yet this is what is accessible to them, what's within their means. When our approach, when we talk to our young people in the entrepreneurship programs, is that it's first look what's within your means. What do you have right there? Others will say we have a land at home, but why are you not utilizing it? So it's more or less the same challenge of the agriculture being disregarded by young people. But our modern now, our approach to it was that let's introduce the modern agriculture, because they do want to produce their food. They do want to save money. They do want to make money, but they want this thing appealing to them. So we said, let's introduce the modern agriculture, which is something something that involves a little bit of technology, something more neater, something that has a less stress on land and its maintenance, and yet having high yield production outputs. So we started with the project of setting up the tunnels, setting up the nursery, just to encourage the youth to see this thing appealing. And from that approach, now with the hub that we have as a university, where student comes and be part of it and seeing other young people, it looks fashionable to them now. Now that we have this setup, which is much more cleaner and it's producing and it's giving money, they can calculate, because the young people are very calculative. They can calculate, when we talk numbers, that, this tunnel is going to produce so much and we harvesting so much a week or so much a month. They get attracted and they want to hear more. So that's the approach that we started, and we encourage them that, you are coming with me to the market to negotiate with the market. I took them to one of the local supermarkets by here. And we got the deal right there and there. Our young people like money. They said this thing is easy. So the presentation, I think, as institutions, we do need to look at the presentation and how we navigate, because especially dealing with young people with so much exposure through the internet and seeing so much. But if they see this thing looking attractive to them, it makes things much a bit easier. But one of the disadvantages with our precision agriculture, precision agriculture or modern agriculture, is the high startup cost, which it has, and a little bit of high maintenance cost of equipment, like you to set up a tunnel, a 10 by 30 tunnel. It's not like just planting on the field, the undercover farming. It's slightly expensive to set it up. But once you address those challenges, it becomes a little bit much easier for the young people. So some of our services include, apart from the just to make it appealing to them, apart from the crop farming, we have incorporated the agro processing, where they are indoor. We have this machinery, and they are processing, they process foods, they're processing vegetables, they can make their own yogurt, they can make their own mass. So such, especially for the young people, it seemed to be working for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I mean, for me, that's self-sufficiency right there. Let's forget about teaching young people to be independent. Independence is like, the right to self-determination. It's when you have sovereignty like a state and you say, I don't want anybody to interfere in my affairs or anything that can challenge my statehood. But self-sufficiency is when you say, I can and I'm willing to stand on my own, however, not without the help of others. And I think that's what we need to teach youth to become. And just on that note, Dr. Charles, maybe you can come in there. Indeed, how do we bridge the gap? How do we ensure that young people are not wanting to have farms because it looks good on your property portfolio that you have a farm, but how can young people engage more in cooperatives, in coming together? If you supply bananas and oranges and another herbs, but we still have one farm together servicing the entire community, I think there's bigger opportunity there than when you are isolated. So you spoke about bridging the gap in your introduction. How can we do that better?
Thank you very much, Tapanga, and very interesting. And that's what we as the Red Cross movement try to do in terms of our various projects, really bringing the youth together, not as individuals, but really bringing them together in terms of this communal living and helping each other. In the spirit of Ubuntu as well, as we say in Southern Africa or in South Africa, I am because you are. So how do we coexist for our better good and for our community? And, this is exactly what we do in terms of, working at the very local community level in terms of, getting communal plots and asking each of the members, the youth, to plant a different crop. So that at the end of the day, when we're harvesting, not only can we collectively feed ourselves, but we can also have enough to sell. So we are gradually moving upwards, and our model is to work through volunteers. And in South Africa, we have over 6,000 volunteers nationwide in the 9 provinces, and most of our volunteers are youth. So we're really trying to catch them young. We're really trying to move together with them and also learn from them in terms of what are their needs, what are their aspirations, and how can we ensure that we walk together in this journey. There is, the phenomenon of urbanization. So a lot of people moving from the rural areas to the urban areas. They come to the urban areas, there are no jobs, they're unemployed. And what we are saying is, you have land back home. Why don't you go home? Why don't we, support you with seeds, with tools, with the right techniques, so that you can start to have your own income and really live a good life. So our approach is to look more longer term, and we have a 10-year plan, which is what we call the Zero Hunger Plan, which is really looking at, if we look on the continent, and South Africa inclusive, most of the most of the farmers are smallholder farmers, and out of them, 70% are women. So we're really trying to encourage to see how best we support them in terms of giving them the inputs, giving them the technical know-how, linking them up with the digital divide, so that they can produce, not only to produce for their consumption, as I said, but to produce for them to sell. So this has a phenomenal ripple effect, because we see that from experience, if they're able to produce, they have enough income, then they'll have more say at home. And I'm talking about women. They'll have more empowerment to say and decide in terms of how they want to do and what they want to do. They'll have enough resources to be able to send the boy child, but also the girl child to school. And hopefully, in the next 5-10 years, if we continue to do this consistently, we will see that, issues around gender-based violence hopefully will reduce, because we are continuing to empower the women. So our focus is really on women, but also the youth. So really trying to combine both in a way whereby we will see results. But, this has to be done to scale, obviously. And, we're really looking at that partnerships to see how we can do it. I can give examples of in Lesotho and in Swaziland, where we have seen this, and we followed, some of the community members, some of the youth, and through their efforts, they've been able to go to university. So we've really been following them for the past 10 years, especially those that, were born with HIV/AIDS or live with HIV/AIDS. We've been supporting them, and we're really been able to see the impact that we've made. So I think it's about consistency. It's about partnerships. It's about really looking at the long-term horizon, and it's about, how do we come together as a community, as a nation, to help each other in the spirit of Ubuntu.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Charles. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got 7 minutes left, and in the 7 minutes, I'm going to ask you a question, and as you answer your question, please incorporate your closing remarks there. My question is, how, or rather, what does resilience mean in the agricultural sector? If, there's famine, or if there are locusts, just like what we've seen in, I think it was Kenya or Ghana most recently, and, seasonally and ecologically, it's harvest time, but there is no harvest because this could be drought, there could be, natural causes and so forth. As a young person in the agricultural sector, or as a young farmer, or even a farmer in general, what does resilience practically look like? And what does it mean for somebody who is listening out there? So I think I'm going to start with you, Wynand. Please answer the question and incorporate your closing remarks, and then I'll follow through with the others.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I think resilience in all respects are defined to a large extent by your ability to recover from setbacks, from disasters. And I mean, we've had many of these over the last year, but we've also had many of these over the last decades. And the ability of our youth, like I mentioned earlier, the generation restoration, if they can get up and put their hand up and say, here's an opportunity. This is agriculture. This is what agriculture can do for us and our communities. It links into a very large extent to what Dr. Charles is, and Nontekozo was talking about earlier. It's the ability to collaborate and to work together and create a community. And when we talk of a community, we're not talking about people living in the same area as necessarily a community. We're talking in this as a business, an agribusiness, where there's a joint hub. And that's one of the sort of things we regularly encourage, is to create the central hub where people can get training, where they can have a central tractor servicing the whole community, fertilizer depot where they can bring their product for export even, and having this hub as the center of this community. And the ancillary business that's created by all of this, you're looking at human resource specialists, financial experts, all the things that are linked to business. There are so many opportunities created by agriculture in various aspects of everyday life. And I think that's where the great opportunity lies, is to take hands, to work together, and to make it such a cool environment for our youth to collaborate in with each other and to work together, and giving them that bargaining power where you've got this group of people that has product, and not just one with a few cabbages. All of a sudden they have the bargaining power to go to the markets and say, no, but we insist on having better prices because our products are X, Y, and Z. And I think this is the whole opportunity for us. And then in closing, I would say education goes hand in hand with all of this. And if there are anyone out there that would like to learn more about agrocolleges and what we do and how we've impacted, please get in touch. We are looking for community projects and taking the hand with other institutions and organizations and walking this road together. We've come a long way in this journey, but there's so much more to be done. Thanks, Tabang.
Thank you so much, Vaynant. Absolutely profound, and we will be sure to follow through with your institution as well. Thank you so much. Can we have Nontekozo Ngcobo?
Yes, Tabang. Thank you so much. I thank you so much, Tabang. I agree with Wayne when you're saying you create a bigger support, a bigger collaborate. I think for any business, not just for agriculture, collaborations are important, and not working in your silo, in your corner out there, but so that you're able to collectively foresee the upcoming challenges in the space that you are. The one thing that we're encouraging our young people is that be able to work together, so that when there's a problem, you are able to also recover quickly as a team. Because if you work alone, this thing will hit you so hard. Agriculture on its own, it's not easy. But if you join hands with the others, like understanding the value chain of agriculture, and be able to identify the upcoming challenges for that particular year, you will be able to overcome quicker before a bigger loss. Loss is everywhere, in every type of a business, but I think agricultural laws are even higher. So, but if you work as a team and also network and understand the value chain and connect yourself, incorporate yourself in that value chain, when loss come or when disaster come, that's where you need your resilient cap. To put it on, and together with your peers, your colleagues in the space. So my encouragement as we close to our young people, that we had pandemic, we still have other things coming. We had other challenges coming. We already have existing challenges as a country and globally, but people are always eating. In as much we will forever be eating, let's look for this information. In as much we had pandemic last year, but we were eating. So the food is something that we can never go wrong with it. So let's try and get as much information. Let's be creative in the small spaces, whether you have big space or small space. These days you can work with whether small or big space, whatever that you have, whatever that is within your means, make use of it. Be creative, be innovative.
Sure.
Thank you, Tama.
Thank you so much, Ngcobo. You are right. We are forever eating. Yay! I think even in winter. wow, guys! If it's not butternut soup, how nice would it be to take the butternut from your garden and just blend it and cook it? If it's not chickens, it's this and that. That's why I've been with the Skills Summit for I think the past 5 years, and some of you have noticed, the weight fluctuates in different seasons. In winter, I'm chubby. It's the food. We are always
the agricultural sector. It's the
Thank you so much.
agricultural sector.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nontekozo. Let's have Precious. Precious, we're so sorry that we didn't hear from you. However, just give us your thoughts and just a synopsis on the topic, and we'll take that as your contribution.
Hi, good morning, colleagues. I apologize with this load shedding. It's really affecting our communications, but I'm glad to be back on board. I'm sorry I missed part of whatever the discussions have been, and I take it this is the summary. From our side of Solidarity, we work regionally in Southern Africa, targeting young people who are not really mainstreamed in agriculture, for example, schools that really don't focus on agriculture. Our role is to open their eyes, opportunities that exist within the sector. So we work also a lot with rural communities, rural families, because that's where most of the young people that are unemployed come from the ages of 15 to 24. And when you look at mainstream interventions, these young people are usually neglected. So we target them with education, with skills, with all these interventions that are available in the urban setting. We package it and we bring it to them so that they are not left behind in terms of what's out there. So in short, for me, I think the advice that I would like to, I think this is the time we're wrapping up. For young people, I think you are the next generation farmers. I see a lot in the communities we work with. Farmers are either 40 and onwards. The youngest is maybe 35 or something like that. But usually, when we talk about a farmer, we are looking at 60 and above. And young people are not really interested in farming. I don't know why, but our role is to really open their eyes to say, these are the opportunities that are available. And we try to bring these opportunities to youth, because also there's a lot of unemployment going on now with the COVID situation. It's even exacerbated unemployment, not just in South Africa, but regionally. And agriculture, has the potential to contribute towards eradicating unemployment, not just within young people, but across the board, whether you're a woman or a man, or whatever sector you work in. And young people also have the capacity to change Africa. We produce to export our raw products. I'll just give an example with our Ghanaian youth, because we also have a project in Ghana focusing on cocoa. You will not believe that in Ghana they produce cocoa and they export it as is to the Netherlands, and they buy it back as chocolate and other products. And there are no processing companies in Ghana that do chocolate. Everything is monopolized, and I never understood this.
Absolutely.
And this is the picture we have in Africa in general, where we plant, we produce, we are rich, we have sun, we have land, but yet we produce our raw materials, we ship them overseas. They come back 10 times even more expensive than they should, and it drives prices up. Nowadays we talk about food insecurity. Africa should never be seen as a food insecure continent. The poverty we see 80% of poverty in Africa, and we don't, with all the land, with all the natural resources we have, you ask yourself why? Because we need to now, young people need to be introduced we need to industrialize Africa basically, and young people have the capacity to do that. We have 60% of youth in Africa, this whole energy that other continents don't have, and we should be capitalizing on our youth to promote industrialization, process our own products here in Africa, create our own engineers, our own technical experts.
I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to come in there because we're out of time. We have to close it.
I'm so sorry.
So thank you so much. But relevant inputs there, especially the need to develop the tertiary aspect of our agriculture. Dr. Charles, please come in there. Just please conclude for us, literally 2 sentences, so we can close shop. Otherwise, I'll be fired before the end of day 3.
I don't want to be fired, so I'll make it really short. I really do agree with my previous speakers. It's about co-creation. We are in this together. We need to support our youth. I hope next year we will have the voice of the youth on a platform like this. At the Red Cross, we're also trying to create a platform where we have regular engagements with the youth, led by the youth. So in terms of agriculture and the youth, let's see more of that. And please hold us accountable as leaders. So this is really going out to the youth. Continue to hold us accountable, because you are the future of tomorrow. But what we do today really gives back in terms of what will happen tomorrow. So thank you very much for this platform, Tabang, and to the other panel members.
Thank you so much, Dr. Charles, and to everybody else. We certainly will keep in touch. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Ngcobo from the Midlands Entrepreneurship Center, Dr. Charles, Head of Southern Africa Cluster, IFRC Southern Africa, which is part of the Red Cross. And we also had Mr. Wynand Esbach, Chief Operating Officer at Agri Colleges International. And concluding for us with the bang was Ms. Precious Greehy, Regional Gender Inclusivity and Youth